Ohio State defends Mike Williams, how Ohio State defends Deshaun, because he's going to run it. I've done so many Clemson games in the last few years, and in these kind of games, when there's this much hype and this much at stake, he's going to run it 20 to 25 times. So defensively, you got to account for a running quarterback who's a real threat. You've got to get numbers up in the box, and now you're going to leave yourself one-on-one on the perimeter against Mike Williams, Artavis Scott, Hunter Renfrow, that entire group of receivers. So how Ohio State handles that matchup in the box against a quarterback run, I think will go a long way in really determining how Ohio State either defends them well or doesn't.
When you look at the pass rush of Clemson and Ohio State's struggling just a little bit to protect the quarterback, how much can that come into play? How legitimate is this pass rush for Clemson?
It's legit. Brent Venables, it's a lot like Ohio State. They've lost more probably than anybody over the last 2 years, but his scheme is an aggressive mindset. They blitz. They bring a lot of pressure. They love to bring their linebackers, Joseph and Boulware, and they're not going to do anything any different in this game. If I'm defending Ohio State, based on the way Ohio State finished the season, I'm loading up on stopping them and their ability to run the football, especially with J.T. Barrett. And what I really want to be able to do is try to get them into some obvious passing situations. And then I'm going to account for Curtis Samuel. I want to see if J.T. Barrett can make plays consistently for 4 quarters without going in the passing game to Curtis Samuel. Who else can make plays against me if I'm defending them that can make me pay for that? And until they do that, especially downfield, I'm going to continue to put pressure on their running game and put pressure on Curtis Samuel.
How's Clemson changed from last year when they played in this national title game here?
I think maturity. I think last year it was all new for them. I think that this program doesn't get the respect nationally yet that it probably deserves. I would put Clemson in the last 5 years, if you look who they have beaten, their wins and losses, I'd put them right up there with the elite teams in the country. I don't think fans outside of that region fully understand that and respect that. And I think those players and those coaches feel that. And I think there's a real chip on their shoulder. And like I said earlier, I just feel that as a team, they had to deal with this year what Ohio State dealt with the previous year. When you get to a championship, you come back with a lot of guys, the expectations are through the roof, and you win by 20 and people are like, oh, you didn't really play that well. Deshaun's not as good as he was last year. That starts to weigh on you after a while. Ohio State ended up losing to Michigan State, got left out of the playoff, and this year we saw Clemson eventually lose the pit, but still was able to manage to get in. I think they're playing with a second life, but I think the difference from last year to this year, to me, is just a maturity and being able to handle the peaks and valleys better.
Are you curious to see how the best...
Bama to 5 points, but can anybody this year, you think, does it matter? Is anybody going to beat Bama in the end?
Oh, I think people have built Alabama up to be this team that nobody can compete with, and I just don't agree with that. I think Bama's a great team. I think Alabama's had great teams in the past. Alabama's team that they had, the first championship in 2009, was legendary to me. What they had in 11 and 12, I mean, it's like every year. It's like the Patriots, in the NFL. But it doesn't mean you can't compete with them. I think the winner of this game definitely matches up and can definitely compete with Alabama.
Can you talk? I've been asking a lot of people if Alabama